So, this season RLCS, they made a big rule change where you could play from any region, in any region, remotely, meaning that you could play from EU in SSA. If you want to see my opinions about that, there's another video I made that you can check out in the description. Today, I'm talking about an incident that occurred in Qualifier 3 in SSA, specifically in the Swiss stage. Now, for this entire, EU thing going on in SSA, the face of that discussion is Young Money Clan. They're the best team in Europe competing in SSA. For SSA this season, there is one spot to make the major, meaning, you need to have the best results throughout the split in order to make it there. And for qualifier 1 and 2, Limitless has finished first on both occasions. Young Money Clan, Limitless is an SSA team by the way, local as well. Young Money Clan, they finished second on both occasions, playing remotely from EU on 180 ping. Now, for this third event, if Young Money Clan wanted to make the major, what they had to do is finish 3 and 2 most likely, and face Limitless in the quarterfinals so that they can beat them early. If they do, obviously if they lost, wasn't going to happen, but they had to beat them early in quarterfinals and then go on to win the event. And if that happened, they would make the major instead of Limitless as well. So, in this event, that's exactly what happened. Limitless, they finished 3-0. Young Money Clan finished 3 and 2, second and seventh there, respectively, and they end up finding each other in quarters. And people are saying, was this intentional? Young Money Clan, did they cheat? They lose against two teams here in Swiss that they haven't lost to in the main event, in the past two events, on 180 ping. They've moved to Reunion for this event, Young Money Clan, kind of gaining the trust of the SSA community as well. They're thinking, oh, they're finally putting in effort to actually play here rather than just playing, from Europe. And they lose against two teams that they wouldn't struggle against before on 180 ping. Specifically, Young Money Clan, they haven't lost to any team in the main event other than Limitless previously before this event. So, it raised a lot of suspicion. Was this intentional? And you look at the gameplay. Let's look at the gameplay. Was the gameplay a little bit suspect? Let's look at it, right? Let's look at this this video made by TZ. I kind of skip halfway through just because I want to look at something that happens later on. Let's go full screen. Right here we're looking at Riho. All three players buckled up. I don't know what's going on here. Riho is a player that's, well above 2k MMR in SSL 2s. You wouldn't expect this kind of playstyle from him. Leaving the mid boost, I don't know, for later, let's say. Specifically for this moment, actually. Two players are going for a challenge here. Riho doesn't care. He doesn't look. He's going for the mid boost, and then obviously they concede. For a lot of people, if they know roughly the level that you should expect for Young Money Clan, they know they're trolling. They're clearly not playing seriously. If you want to look more at these clips, for example, or look at the gameplay. If you want to look at the gameplay, go to ballschasing.com. It's very easy to find. But specifically these clips, go to TZRL on Twitter, and you'll find some of these Riho clips. But yeah, that's the gameplay. Now, even if you don't think, oh, they weren't trolling, that gameplay doesn't look that bad. Maybe it was just a bad day. There are also a lot of other factors that come into why this seemed controversial. Specifically, first thing being, Coach Psycho, the coach of NXT, who beat Young Money Clan here in round 3 of Swiss. Right here you could see them. They beat Young Money Clan here in round 3, 3-1. He specifically stated, guaranteed they're throwing. I've coached Riho before, his words, and he thought guaranteed they're throwing. 100% certain he was. Psycho, Psycho, that's the coach for NXT. You might remember him for the mechanic Psycho. The mechanic, the Psycho. He's the guy that did that. So that's one thing. And another thing was, an anonymous user came out and said that he was asked to coach Young Money Clan for this event, but only Saturday and Sunday, which meant he wasn't asked to coach them for a Swiss stage. So that's, again, raises a lot of suspicion. And even if that wasn't enough, on top of that, apparently, and this has been checked and, seen as fact now, Young Money Clan were delaying every single series to make sure that they knew what games they had to win and what games they had to lose in order to eventually find Limitless in quarterfinals. So that meant you kind of see, them playing really well one game. Look at game one versus next, the game that they won against them, NXT, sorry. They played really, really well, and within the next three games, suddenly they aren't the same players, and it clearly was not just a bad day. And then suddenly in round five, they absolutely demolish White Rabbit Gaming. So a lot of the inconsistencies is there as well. Sarcasm on Twitter by Riho as well after qualifying for top 8 by beating White Rabbit. He tweeted out something along the lines of made top 8, that was so close, let's go! Something like that. So yeah, very, very sarcastic, claiming that that was just a bad day and that's why they went to round 5. And then a day passed and it was confirmed. Young Money Clan banned for 1 year, disqualified from the event. They won't get the earnings that they achieved this event, but they will still receive the earnings they got from the last 2 events. Qualifier 1 and Qualifier 2, of course, and not receiving the earnings from Qualifier 3, this event, in other words. So yeah, when I scroll down here, you can see disqualified. Disqualified Limitless, win by disqualification against Young Money Clan. And yeah, so there you have it. That's the verdict. By the rules, they have been banned. The admins have checked it. They saw for certain they were cheating. So, if the gameplay wasn't enough, the admins, I've also agreed, 90.999, 99.999% sure they're cheating. Well, actually 100%. But, technically it can always be like, gameplay is gameplay, that isn't proof. So, whatever. But yeah, there was too much evidence to back up to back up the idea that they were cheating to not actually ban them. So yeah, that's the final verdict. But morally speaking, then, was it okay for them to do it? Is it excusable more to a degree because they're 16? They're very young players here. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. More importantly, so then what actually happened. I want to talk about the moral side of things here. And first of all, let's just talk about, was it okay? No. You cheated, right? You can't cheat the system. You can't do that. So that's wrong. And some people have been saying, if I was in the same situation, I would also abuse the system, try to qualify. But no, in my opinion, you can't. You simply can't. It's cheating is cheating. It's that simple. Though I do agree that the format is really bad, and a lot of criticism should go towards the format as well, and also the ruling of EU players being allowed to play in SSA. As I mentioned, you can see more talk about that in my other video in the description below. But yeah, that's not excused. The fact that they're 16, does that make it more excusable? Yeah, obviously, the younger you are, the more excusable your actions are. So, based on that, it is still wrong. How much you can criticize them, obviously, a little bit less due to their age, but you shouldn't ignore it either. Probably, you want to tell them the reality, right? Like, what you did was just very wrong. It wasn't anything crazy, but, it was very wrong. And you have to tell them that. Now, even though I think that, what I also think is that after the verdict came through, banned for a year, that's kind of when, a lot of the hate kind of needs to stop. Some things might still be justified, but, for the most part, you don't really want to go after them after they've been banned for a year, Like, they face the consequences that they deserve, don't get me wrong. Because I have no problems at all with them receiving a 1-year ban by doing this. But yeah, I think realistically, some of the hate should probably be transferred towards criticism, towards the rulings made by Epic here. As well, talking about the age thing as well because of the lowered age requirement, and now just being down to 13. You're allowed to play RLCS starting from 13 now, as opposed to 15 before. In my opinion, probably should be higher than that. So if you talk about the age thing, that also, Epic clearly have affected that as well. But yeah, a lot of people, I understand where some of this hate and meminess comes from SSA, because for them it's been really tough this season. Mostly because one, EU being allowed to play in SSA this season, well, anyone allowed to play in SSA remotely. Um, and then on top of that, kind of the betrayal of trust by with Young Money Clan coming over to Reunion, a country that was eligible for SSA previously. So that's an SSA country. They're now local. They play this qualifier locally, and they did that just to come in and cheat. With a master plan of trying to make the major. So I think from that kind of point of view, I definitely understand where SSA is coming from with a lot of their hate, but it's a little bit more. It got too personal. I understand why, but a lot of these issues are more relevant to are more so done by Epic than it is Young Money Clan. What Young Money Clan is responsible for is specifically cheating. So that is not something you ignore, and they've already faced the consequences, right? They're banned, so that's done. That should be done. We've meted on them before the ban came through, so let's not continue it after the ban came through. That's a bit excessive, in my opinion. So that's kind of my advice towards the SSA community when dealing with Young Money Clan. But a lot of these issues are also, mainly should be going towards, judging Epic, really. Because one, they make a format that is so easily exploitable in a region like SSA where you only have one spot. So a lot of criticism has to go for Epic for that. Um, because, it's hard to play 100% seriously when you have a conflict of interest, right? It makes it more difficult. It doesn't mean that you have to throw, but it can really strongly influence the results. You know what I'm saying? So definitely a lot of criticism has to go for Epic for deciding this format and causing a bunch of issues, deciding that you can play in SSA in the first place, so really causing a lot of drama, anger, a lot of negativity within the community. Let's just say that much. So yeah, that's kind of what I had to say about this subject is, let's transfer some of this hate into criticism towards Epic rather than Young Money Clan. That's kind of the message I want to send overall. But yeah, I gave my opinions on the whole thing in this video, so I don't need to keep repeating over again and re-clarifying. But yeah, that was that. Thank you all for watching the video, and I'll catch you later. Let me know your opinions in the comments as well. Bye bye.